good afternoon. If you're here to learn about our new read-only client, you're in the right place. I'm going to go ahead and start off by launching a poll. If you would please answer that so we can see who is on the line with us today and what your experience with IndySoft is, and if you currently have our DataView Browser product or if you're a new customer, so we can just get a feel for who's on the line. Also, it will give our slow joiners a chance to get on with us as well. So right now it looks like most of you are current DataView Browser customers, so I can definitely see why you are interested in learning about our read-only client, as that is the replacement for our DataView Browser, which has been announced end of life. Looks like about 5% of you are not IndySoft customers, so welcome. We hope you find something interesting in the webinar today. Looks like we don't have any more activity on our poll, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Again, thank you for responding. So we do know that most of you are existing DataView Browser customers. On with us today, we have myself, Heather McGrath. I am the Marketing Director for IndySoft. We also have Nick Bates, who is our head trainer, Mitch Jones, who's our sales engineer, and Will Twentyman, who's a senior developer here at IndySoft. We'll all be sharing some information with you and available to answer questions at the end. Okay, here's our agenda for today. I'll go over the who, what, why, when of read-only. I'm going to pass it then to Mitch, who's going to kind of talk about how we got to needing the read-only client and the reasons why we're transitioning from DataView Browser over to read-only. Then Nick's going to do a demo for us and address transitioning from DataView Browser to read-only, and then we'll close out with questions. So who are the perfect candidates for our read-only client? First is commercial lab clients. When your customers want to view where their equipment is, the status of their equipment, they can log in and see the status of their equipment. And it's also great for enterprise users just needing light access. What exactly is the read-only version? It is just a read-only version of our standard client. It has the exact same look and feel. All of the code behind it is the same, so it's quite similar to what IndySoft customers are accustomed to with the standard IndySoft client. It is accessible from any web browser or can be physically installed on any machine, and it has customizable branding, so you can integrate it with the look and feel of your own website. There are customizable layouts per customer, so each of your customers can have their own look. We also have unlimited custom reports. It's easy to run calibration due reports, easy to find equipment data and past history, and users do have the ability to download certificates, stickers, and other pertinent documentation. Read-only users are able to perform specialized events such as on-site customer requests and equipment pickups. Our read-only client does offer license pooling, and you can have dedicated licenses for specific customers so that they always have access. We do also have custom security profiles, so administrators can set up and design custom security roles associated with just read-only licenses and users. Why would any of you want to get the read-only license? Well, we're sure that you have users that you would like to have limited rights for. Training is the same no matter what the type of user, so you could have someone that is accustomed to read-only. They can upgrade to a full client and have the same experience, or vice versa. And it does have improved technology and functionality over DataView Browser, and the customization capabilities allows for an improved user experience. And of course, the biggest bonus is it only costs a quarter of what the standard client does. And we know it is available now, so if you're not currently talking to Mitch about read-only, then we can set that up for you after the webinar. Now Mitch is going to talk about the etymology of how we got to read-only and why we went to this change and why we're moving away from DataView Browser. So go ahead and take it away, Mitch.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks for everyone for joining as well. So the reason that we were moving in this direction is over the course of the last couple of years, we've received lots of feedback about DataView Browser, lots of great compliments about the ease of use, and the core functionality does exactly what it's supposed to do. You know, and the whole purpose of DataView Browser, you log in, you can print certificates, do searches, kind of give this limited access to sort of see what's going on in the laboratory, and you kind of declare what fields, if any, you want to give customers access to update. In the DataView Browser product, we also have the ability to do a handful of reports, things like what's coming due. You have the ability to do an out-of-tolerance report. You could even go in and do like an asset extract report, which those were sort of limited, right? I shouldn't say limited. Those 3 reports did exactly what you need, but there was not the ability to expand upon that in DataView Browser. There wasn't an actual built-in report writer as opposed to the Gauge Insight product that some of you know, and then also the IndySoft Client, what we refer to it as now. You have a built-in report designer where you can actually go in and customize any type of report. So in the read-only client, we wanted to take what DataView Browser does fantastic, an easy, simple to use product, but then we wanted to take the same kind of enhanced features that the IndySoft client gives you and bridge those together. So what we did is we created this thing called, this product called the IndySoft Read-Only Client. And what that does is that takes all those core features that customers have been asking for, Equipment Finder, Event Finder, and we added those now to this read-only product. So in DataView, you couldn't do things like that. You couldn't build unlimited queries like you can in the Equipment Finder. Administrators of the DataView Browser product couldn't go and create a brand new report and give it to a customer. In read-only, you can do that. Additionally, one of the big things that we've been asked about over the years is we want to be able to do things like create a packing slip in DataView Browser. We want to be able to maybe expand upon that request system if any of you are using that today. So in read-only, we actually created a concept where you can have these read-only specific events. So DataView very much is you log in, you kind of get what you get in DataView, as opposed to the read-only client. We're going to give you a starting point. However, we give you the ability to actually go in and create additional events. So you can have, I call them, I don't want to say miniature, but these minor events where a customer can log in and notify the lab that some equipment's on its way in. They can log in, maybe produce a packing slip. You actually get to customize those. Additionally, we allow you to do that at a per customer level. So for a lot of our labs, what we've come across is every lab has their large customers and some of their smaller. So some of these larger customers, you may want to give them an even more customized experience. So maybe your larger customers, you can create a customizable dashboard or layout. So we want to move in that direction to kind of give you guys this customizable interface for your customers at the end of the day. And then for our manufacturing customers, you also have a lot of folks that come in and they just want to be able to read only and print certificates, do queries, do searches, and we're now giving you that ability to discounted price. So it kind of serves dual purposes, manufacturing and also our commercial calibration laboratories. I think at this point we'll probably pass it over to Nick and let him kind of give us an orientation of the new read-only client.
All right, thank you, Mitch. This is Nick. Let's go ahead and dive into our new read-only product. So as you can see, I'm just using a typical Google Chrome web browser. Right here where it says your logo, we can brand that for any of your customers. We hit next, log in, and here you go. As you can tell, it's very similar to our regular IndySoft client, but you will notice that there are some functionalities that are missing. We don't have the pending work, we don't have the order system, add edit lists, etc. So coming in, you guys are going to notice areas that are either hidden or grayed out. Starting on the left-hand side, we don't give access to the navigator, template editor, batch import events, and of course the other stuff we do give you access to. We have a home dashboard view that we can customize and brand however you would like. Your customer's logo could go over here in the top left corner. Over here on the right-hand side, we have that optional panel that you can always put support information or either little quick hyperlinks for reports that you would want them to pull down. Of course, we have your search and report tab over here. Now, within the middle portion, what is so beneficial is a customer can log in and see exactly what's going on with their equipment, what tracking status it's in, and they can even do some sort of service request event. So I'm going to go ahead and launch just a basic event that a customer may do for you guys. So we hit this, and so we can just select an asset, and then we hit finish, and of course we have to refresh this. Maybe I already had that asset. Let's see here. Okay, I already had that asset selected. I apologize. Let's do this one. And there you can see the count. Go ahead and change. So a customer can come in here, select a tracking status, and see exactly what equipment is in that status. Coming into the equipment view, we have limited functionality for the customer, so they cannot create a gauge, they can't create a gauge through a template, clone, anything like that. They can toggle through the equipment in the database. We have a recall list just like we had in the DataView browser, and they of course can print a worksheet of the current company's equipment. Within here, you can still select an asset like you would in the regular client and change the asset. You can come down here and look at the history of the events that have been applied to that asset. You can look at the different notes and docs that we have, and you can also do any sort of equipment attributes as well. Again, on the right-hand side, we can see what tracking status the equipment's in, the schedules that we have. You then have the main flow chart that you could interactively select. And then we just have the options just like customer billing and customer shipping information. Coming in, we do have an events tab up here. So you can run the events from the drop-down menu or from the home page or even from the equipment view right here. Now we also have reports right here. One new addition to the read-only that DataView Browser was lacking was the equipment finder and the event finder. So we do offer those to you guys. You can select them, click any assets that you would like, and use the equipment finder like you guys are used to. Now, within search reports, we also can create any sort of custom report. Now, DataView Browser was lacking in the sense that we couldn't create just any report we wanted to. So if we just do a do for calibration, right, and you want to add a different header, we know that that was a pain for you guys in the past, so we can alphabetize these non-visible fields. We can select this and pick any category that we would like to be a header on this report. Okay, you can then take this report and you can output it into Excel, email it out, and whatnot. Now, obviously, you can launch events here from this read-only client, but let's say that we want to go ahead and set up the security profiles for this read-only client. Now, I can't do that in here because I don't have access to workflow configuration in aspects like that, print builder. So an admin account would need to be created so that you guys could make these changes for the customer, especially if you do not want the customer having access to these things. So if we log out of here, right, I'm going to go into a admin account. I'm sure you guys are used to seeing IndySoft. And now from here, I have it set up to have another panel. So now I have the client accessible to me right here. All of the tabs that were not displaying before, add, edit, and of course all these executables here on the right-hand side. So what we can do is we go in, we launch workflow configuration, and this is where we're going to limit what is accessible to a read-only individual. So I come over here to my navigator and I can take a look at any of the events that I have in my system. And then within the actual event itself, I can check the allow read-only users to run this event from the menu. From here, I can even select document visibility, show certs, show packing slips, etc. One of the very beneficial things that you can do with this new read-only system is we can send emails, we can create stickers, we can create certs, or we can at least give them access to view them and open them. If you take a look at event tabs, the only way you can set up an event, or as far as the tabs that you have access to set up on your event, are going to be event information, documents, and comments. Okay. Now, another aspect is going to be setting up the security settings for these individuals that will be logging in to the read-only client. So over here, I have all of my different usernames, and I have all my profiles. Well, you'll notice that we have the customer admin, customer profile user, customer read-only, and then a web administrator. So I was just logged into the customer username, and what we do is we give that account no access, and then we give the read-only rights that we want to the companies that we want them to have access to. So in the event that we want to give the customer access to multiple companies, we can easily drop in another company and select the access that we would like to give that company. Okay. Now, for those of you who are coming from DataView Browser currently and have all of your profiles already created and you're worried about importing those into us, we do have a new option here to import DVB users and event display rules into the new client. Okay, so have no worry, you don't have to go in and re-enter all this information. And I will be handling the majority of the conversions from DataView Browser to read-only, so we will be working together on that. Now, the benefit of this, like Heather was mentioning, is we don't have to support two different types of code now. So the quickness of the client is now at your fingertips, okay? And so we're going to be able to give you guys way more support and way more customization with this new read-only client. So this concludes the presentation of read-only, and we'll now answer any questions that you guys may have.
While we are reviewing some of these questions, I'm going to go ahead and launch another poll. It's on whether you are on version 11 or not. Version 11 is required to transition to read-only if you are an existing customer. So we want to kind of get a feel for where everyone is. While you're answering that, Mitch is going to take a look at the questions. If you do have a question that was not answered, please go ahead and submit it to the GoToWebinar questions box. Go ahead, Mitch, if you want to go ahead and start answering.
Sure. So some of the questions we've already been asked that I want to address is, what happens if you have a customer and you only want them to have access to just one particular company? Okay, so in DataView Browser, that's how it worked, or in DataView Browser, you could set it up to where multiple companies could be visible. I know Nick showed, as we were setting up those security profile settings, we've always had the ability to create what we call a no access profile, and then from there you then go drag a company over to that particular username. That way when that particular person logs into the system, they only see their company, and if you have a customer who needs access to multiple companies, that's permissible and allowed as well. So that is possible when you go to convert your existing DataView users over to IndySoft Client or IndySoft Read-Only users. They'll still only see the company that you granted them access to previously. Of course, you can modify that down the road if needed. And a couple other questions that came in consistently was, do we have the ability to hide some of those fields on the equipment view? The answer to that is yes, right? We recognize that not everybody wants your customers to see every single field. You do have the ability to customize the equipment view. That's just, you're going to utilize that layout builder tool that's within the software, and you'll have that ability. Some other questions kind of came in regarding, can you print certificates in batch? That is something that the IndySoft client does provide you, and we actually have that in the later versions of DataView Browser as well, except for from DataView Browser, you actually had to create a zip file, because going from a straight print command, this was not something that we could do with the technology that we had in DataView Browser. However, the IndySoft client and the read-only client, you will be able to print documents in batch. That's a component that's actually within inside the Equipment Finder utility. Once you build a query, or you can use Event Finder and build a query and perhaps say, you know, what got calibrated this week or this month, and you want to take all those and print your certs at one time. That is a function within inside the read-only client now, and that's one of the reasons we moved in this direction. Some of the other questions came up, is it possible to hide events? Obviously, in any laboratory environment, you all have lots of events, but from a customer's perspective, you probably only want them to know maybe that it was received, calibrated, and shipped. But you don't want them to see all those internal steps. You do have the ability to hide and control which events that your customers and your login read-only clients will see. And I'm just going to browse through here, just some of the questions again. For some questions came in about the ability to add documents in. When you do go in and actually do an event, like a request or prepare a packing slip, you do have the ability to upload documents into the event now. So in DataView Browser, it was kind of a one-way street. They now have that capability to go in there and add documents in. Another question came in about the ability to see certificates in their company only. That is 100% going to be the case. When you create your users of this product, that will be applicable there. Okay, I'm seeing a handful of questions come in about the licensing and how that works. So when you have we'll talk specifically about the DataView Browser product as it stands at the moment. Any customer that owns DataView Browser, you have a lot of licenses, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20. We are offering the ability to convert your DataView licenses that you have to read-only. Right, we're offering that. That was part of the end of the life email that I believe we sent out a handful of weeks back. But the licensing is going to be set up with a concept that we call license pools. Okay, so license pooling is a concept where let's say that you have 10 licenses to the calibration lab management product or the commercial lab management product, and you have 5 read-only. So as you create customer accounts, right, who are going to have these read-only licenses, you will assign them to a read-only license. That way what happens is when they log in, they only get limited access to the system, as opposed to one of your internal technicians or maybe one of your lab managers, when they log in, they consume the appropriate full license. So we will use a concept for license pooling for that. Okay, I'm just going to browse through the questions here just another moment. I'm seeing a few kind of about, is there going to be like a link or a lot of you that have DataView Browser currently, you've integrated in on your internal home web pages. You have like a URL to get to DataView Browser. When you combine the web tier product with the read-only client, that will work the exact same way. You would still sort of have a URL. The great thing about read-only actually is you can actually customize the layouts as well. So the layout can actually get customized to match sort of the way your own internal web page looks as well. So it gives you that kind of greater customization opportunity. I've actually seen a handful of kind of features or questions that have come in as well, which is a really good idea. I've seen this from 2 or 3 customers here, that they're asking if there's a way that we can have some sort of a message or a pop-up to notify existing DataView customers that there may be a change. That's a fantastic idea. However, in order for us to do something like that, that would require us upgrading the DataView product and then getting that reinstalled to get that pushed out there. There's no way that we can dynamically kind of do that from behind the scenes. I'm thinking what we may do, I've seen this question come up a couple of times, so I want to address this. I think we may help formulate maybe like a small transitional training packet, so kind of like a quick PowerPoint that explains, here's what DataView was, here's what read-only will look like, and we give that to each of our laboratories, and then you guys can then go and customize that finally, because you'll ultimately get some customization options with read-only that DataView didn't give you. So that could be part of your transition as you move over.
Also, in the transitioning, we're going to be doing some training videos. So if you have, if you're a commercial lab and you have customers that are using DataView Browser now, we can quick links that they'll be able to take a look at and see how they can perform the same functions they're doing today in DataView Browser in the new read-only client. So we want to make it as easy for your customers as possible to transition over as well.
And thank you, Heather. I want to circle back to licensing. I was probably maybe confused some folks there because the two people asked the same question at once. The question was, let's say we've got numerous customers, we've got 1,000 or so customers. You do not need 1,000 read-only licenses. Okay, the read-only licenses are still concurrent, so you can create 1,000 read-only usernames, but it doesn't mean 1,000 get to log in simultaneously. Only however many read-only clients you actually have can use it simultaneously. Okay, so the licensing is still going to continue to be concurrent on the read-only licenses. And I did see some other questions starting to come in on the timelines for the tutorial and the videos. That's going to be coming out in the upcoming weeks. It's going to be very short term. You know, that's going to be as we get through our first. There's going to be some things that we learn as we help our first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 customers go through this process of transitioning. We have some of those scheduled already and underway, but there's going to be some lessons learned along the way. So that will be coming in the upcoming weeks. I know a lot of questions are coming in about licensing. If a customer logs in as a read-only client, they will not be consuming one of your existing multi-user licenses. What they'll be consuming is one of what will become your new read-only multi-user licenses. So the read-only licenses effectively are going to be the replacement for your existing DataView Browser licenses. They will not be consuming one of your existing commercial lab management licenses that you have. So I'm seeing a lot of consistency about licensing and cost associated. The standard price for a read-only license is $4.99, and then the read-only license, there's 2 options on that. One is the read-only license. If it's internal to your network, they could simply install the software on their PC. However, if it's a read-only customer trying to come over across the web, then we find ourselves in a situation where you would need to have what we call our web tier broadcast server. So that is that additional product that is new to IndySoft. We released that about 2 years ago that allows you to install a program and display your entire IndySoft application over an HTML5 web browser. So whenever you convert your existing DataView install to read-only, you would have to have our web tier broadcast server. Now we will convert your DataView license itself to read-only at no cost. If you're a customer who does not have DataView Browser, then the cost is going to be the cost of the web tier server and then the cost of the read-only licenses. And I know a couple folks have asked specifically about that. And our pricing is all listed on our website, but I'll also be following up with individuals on that as well.
While Mitch does a final review of the questions that have come in, I do want to point out that we will be making a link of the recording of this webinar available either tomorrow or Monday. So if you have any coworkers that you think might find benefit to it, please look out for that link and share it with them once it's sent out.
I know that there's going to be some questions that people ask that I could not get to. Some were quite specific to maybe their unique process or their existing configuration, which I'm aware of just about everyone's. I plan to actually reach out to the person that attended today, and for one, if nothing else, just say thank you for attending, but also address any other specific questions you may have regarding the transition from DataView to read-only, or if read-only is something you're looking at acquiring. I do intend to reach out to everyone. We had quite a large group attend today, so it may be early next week before I start sending out emails to maybe schedule some time with each of you individually.
All right, Mitch, do you see anything else that you think you can address for the group?
I think we covered the vast majority of them. Hopefully I've addressed them all that we could cover in a kind of a blanket answer. I think we're okay, Heather.
All right, well then let's go ahead and call it. We appreciate everyone taking the time to view our webinar today. We do have a survey at the end. If you please answer the questions in the survey so we can improve on our next webinar, we would appreciate it. Thank you again for your time.